something out of the ordinary. Fusion-style cuisine, Japanese noodles.
I'm more involved, like, what I've been experimenting with lately is, like, using myself to the music. So, like, this idea of being empty in your mind, but then letting the divine flow through you, making it up, in the moment kind of thing. So, I've been experimenting with that. It's, like, a great feeling, because I feel like I'm being a messenger for something bigger than me. That's how I feel. So the more that I'm not there, the more that I'm not
you are.
not there, the more that I'm not.
Damn it, this time am I moving too fast? That just feels like a question I needed to ask. Cause this feeling's amazing, and yet I admit, as fast as it goes, I don't want it to pass. Seeing it plainly as day, I'm falling asleep with my foot on the gas. I'm actually thinking that maybe this time you're seeing my face instead of a mask. Damn, it's a blast from the past. Something I know that is fleeting, no matter if I meet the maker too soon. As long as I meet him, I'll raising a glass and having a laugh. It's my time to go on, put up a fuss. Smiling and waving, I do as he wish. And I give him a heart that I damage on purpose, cause I needed something to fix. I know I heard a lot, know I got hurt back. Some of you over here asking me why would I want that? That was a game that I played with myself and we all would. Cause that was the point of the journey, so make sure it hurts good. I fell out of touch with the world. I look at the lights from the perch in my fortress. The distance had blurred all the details I miss as I try to paint forward a portrait. Smear the remorse on the verses. Try to find destinies worse than the one that I picked for myself. But then I had got reacquainted with purpose. Smear the remorse on the verses. Try to find destinies worse than the one that I picked for myself. But then I had got reacquainted with purpose. Smear the remorse on the verses. Try to find destinies worse than the one that I picked for myself. But then I had got reacquainted with purpose.
What is up, guys? This is Justin Ransburg of Ransburg Art, and first thing I want to do is say Happy New Year to you. It is 2019 finally, and 2018 was a bit of a struggle, but we made it, we're here, and we're gonna keep going forward. So for those of you that do not know, I'm an artist from Jackson, Mississippi, and I mainly do illustrations, murals, I do some graphic design work, and I also co-founded the Jackson Drawing Club that meets every Thursday at Sneaky Beans Coffee Shop in Fondren at 6 o'clock. Also, I am one of the co-hosts of the illustrious podcast known as the Black Pocket Podcast, coming at you unfiltered, unfocused, all these things, but super hilarious. And so one of my resolutions for this year is to create more videos such as the one you're watching. Like, I've done time-lapse videos, I've shot music videos for a few people. I'm going to put up some links to it so you can check them out in the description. And this is more of a new venture / direction that I wanted to go in with doing these type of projects. So I decided to, give vlogging a chance, because I've seen videos on YouTube that I really liked. So for today's episode, it's gonna be a Q&A. I went on to my social media, at Ransburg Art on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and I asked people to give me questions about being an artist lifestyle, things of that nature that they wanted, and I will turn them into this video. I'm going to leave the names of the last names of everybody out of respect for them. Privacy is the best thing, and we're gonna get into it. So this question comes from Bo on Twitter, who says, I hate my handwriting, but find I need to incorporate artistic words into most of my projects. What are some good ways to do this without it looking terrible and or like I just slapped fun on it? Well, Bo, thank you for your question. And as far as answers go, I would say a little pre-planning, goes a long way. So you have to consider the composition of the piece, why you want the words to be included, if the image could work without the words, and structurally, pay attention to composition. And if you don't like your handwriting, can somebody else actually write it in and you incorporate that somehow, either by cutting it, if it's like a physical piece, or, digitally cutting it and pasting it in. And also looking at other people's works. So people that do like typography, people that do gig posters, just to see how they laid out everything. That will help immensely. So thank you for your question. I hope that answered it. So Basil has a question, and his question is in two parts. The first part is, what is art? And the second part is, do you ever regard anything you make as too personal to share, or maybe feel like you're not ready to share yet? So while I was writing this out, thinking about what I was going to say, I came up with, I think, 3 definitions of what art is. So the first definition is, art is the expression of an idea. The second definition, a conversation between idea and observer. It can take on many forms, including, but not limited to, drawing, painting, sculpture, writing, movies, theater, etc. And also, art is showing the world itself in an unconventional way. So you can take that question and run very philosophic with it, which is, I know Basil. We used to work together, and yeah, it's just art to me is seeing the world in a different way. So not giving one person a pencil is not going to be used the same way as somebody in a different environment. So using a pencil in a classroom, obviously you'll be taking notes, writing what the teacher says, but that same pencil in, I don't know, like a third world country or something could be used as a weapon of protection. So art is very open to interpretation. Let me see. And to answer the second part of your question, there are some works that I have withheld from public view, for personal reasons. Like I've done memorial portraits for people, and I don't personally share them on social media or online or anything, because it's like a respect thing to me. So I allow the person that commissioned it to do it first, and then I'll just go on to add my comment and stuff like that. So thank you for that question. Okay, so this question comes from Ben on Facebook, and he asks, what are some good resources in Jackson for learning how to draw, paint, and etc.? So one good resource is one that I included in my intro, is the Jackson Drawing Club, and I'm going to link it up on the video so you can go and follow on Instagram and Facebook. And the Jackson Drawing Club is a group of artists, from around the city that get together at Sneaky Beans and Fondren every Thursday at 6 p.m. And we basically critique each other. We share ideas, share materials, trade techniques, and, genuinely help each other to become better artists. And also sharing opportunities that we know about. So if one person knows there's a contest, for photography, because we do way more than just drawing. There's a photography contest coming up. I thought you would be interested in it. Here's the link, passing on that information. So that's one excellent resource. Another is the Mississippi Museum of Art. They have workshops that are led by artists, and I've taken one of the workshops while I was there with Jared Patridge, and he teaches life sketch there on a pretty consistent basis. And while I was in the class, he was pointing out, ways of paying attention to the human form, because we had a live model, and how to capture that onto the paper, onto the surface that you're working on. And I learned that I was not the best at anatomy because there are things that I deliberately did not pay attention to, or I was drawing from my mind of what I thought it looked like versus what I was actually seeing. Which, when you're doing life sketch, or you're drawing from life, you need to pay attention to what's in front of you. You know, there's a lot of life metaphors from art. But anywho, so that's the second resource I know of, and the third would be Millsaps has a community enrichment program where they'll have people come in, teach classes on things like painting, knitting, sewing, drawing, etc., business, anything you can really imagine. And some of them last a day, some of them last a night, some of them last over the span of a few weeks or months. And they're relatively like cheaply priced given what you learn in return. And also, I believe Belhaven has a life sketch class that they do on Saturdays. So look into those, and yeah, I hope this helps. Thanks for your question. The next question comes from Shelly, who asks, who are your influencers and what drives you? So some people that have influenced my work over the years have mainly been found through, going to different events and searching online. But specifically, one of the first people that I really knew as far as like the art scene goes is a guy named Ian. And he's one of those people that saw potential in my work and was always like kind of big brothering me to kind of push me to do better. Like, oh yeah, the Ransburg, that's cool, but it could be better. So him, my friend Philip that runs Offbeat, he also pretty much did the same thing. Like, okay, that's cool, but what else you got? Because I know you got the ability, but you got to do better than this. So these people always constantly pushing me to be better. And I notice over time when people are mean to you in that way, it's because they care and will actually help you when you need it. So one person that Philip actually introduced me to, aka DJ Young Venom, introduced me to as far as art goes, is a dude named Jim Mahfood. And one of the biggest things that I've learned from looking at his work was that it doesn't always have to be like structurally sound and pretty and pristine and clean, because his work is really like gritty and actiony and fast paced as far as like how he lays down the lines. And one of the videos of his I watched, he makes comics as well. He makes comics, paintings, he does character design, murals, lots of stuff. And one of the videos I was watching was for, I think, this comic he has called Carl, the cat who makes peanut butter sandwiches. And in that, he kind of screwed up a panel, and he said that, he redrew the panel, cut it out, laid the new one on top of the older spot, and he said nothing is sacred enough where it can't be, replaced or can't be redone. And that got me thinking, like, okay, in my own work, I just need to relax more and just have more fun with it. And also, over time, that's helped me kind of increase the speed of the work that I do. So it looks really good. I like to capture moments with my stuff. So he's definitely has been a big influence on my work. And there are countless other people. Some of them I'll probably make a list in another video and just post it up like, hey, these are people that have influenced my work. You should check them out. So that's what I got for your first question. For the second part of your question, what drives me, or what's my purpose with my work? I just want to show other people that you can thrive as an artist. Like, it's not always like a straight shot type of career. Like, you go to school specifically to be a doctor, you have to take this class, that class, and you're on your track to being a doctor. But with an art career, there's gonna be times where you'll have to struggle, you have to go without, and you're gonna have to create your own opportunities for yourself, because no one's just gonna be like, oh, here's the greatest opportunity of a lifetime that you've been waiting for, but at the same time you haven't been putting in work and meeting people. Because one big thing that I've learned is, networking with people helps you to, get other jobs and stuff. Like, I hear people all the time that are my artist friends that say, man, I wish I could be an artist full time, and I don't know how you do it, and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, you have to be willing to go without sometimes, or be willing to make take that struggle for a little while, push yourself to go out and meet people. Whatever your challenge is that you have, go out beyond that fear that you have. So if you're afraid of talking to people, go to a party where you don't know anybody and meet like 2 or 3 people. Like, that'll help your career immensely. Sometimes I get off track, but the key to it is that, and no matter what you do, you have to be wise in what you're doing. So if you're planning to be an artist, you have to figure out, okay, where exactly does my artwork fit? If it doesn't fit, I'll just make my own lane, and if people join, they join, kind of like Forrest Gump when he was running. If people join, they join. If they don't, they don't, So be wise, and also don't buy too much stupid shit that you don't need, that didn't give you a return. All right, so this question comes from Kwame, and he says, how do you make the water effect? And Kwame's also a friend of mine, and he's speaking in regards to a painting that I made as a commission for a mutual friend of ours, where I had her, like a portrait of her, and she's in a kimono and she's sitting on these like mountains. I'm gonna link a picture up on this mountain, and she's also sitting in the water, and the water, is kind of transparent or whatever. And to answer your question, Kwame, you have to understand how the different materials that you're working with work. So let's say that you're doing a painting as such as I was. If you look on the container itself, there should be a little grid that shows you, or a little guided chart that tells you whether or not the paint is transparent, semi-transparent, or opaque. And depending on the type of paint or ink or whatever it is, you'll be able to manipulate it to work the way that you want it to. So yeah, just know how your materials work. All right, so Andre asks, are there any new areas of exploration you seek for the near future of your artistry? Okay, so yes, actually. What the video that you're watching right now is definitely a part of it. So I want to do more voiceovers with my time-lapse videos, and also like a studio vlog a little bit, because that looks interesting to me and it seems like a lot of fun. And it incorporates some skills that I have that I don't really use as often. I've been interested in bookbinding again lately. So bookbinding is also going to come into play. Like, I created a few sketchbooks for myself earlier this week. And if you check out my Instagram, you've probably seen it already. Like, the first drawing that I did is in it. And it came out really well. I did it using Japanese bookbinding from a tutorial I found on YouTube. So that, I have a few book ideas that I'm working on, and I will give you more information about that as it gets closer to being done. I want to do an enamel pen release, because I don't know, it's just time for a lot of these things. And also some more t-shirts, because t-shirts are fun. They're quick, they're easy, people can enjoy them for years to come if you take good care of them. And you're just gonna have to stay tuned and see what else happens. All right, so Chris asks, what made you pick your medium and how do you express your ideas through it? So this question is it's going to be a little lengthy, but I chose drawing growing up because it was what I had the most frequent access to. And as I got older, I would explore things like painting, which led me to explore mixed media, which led me to explore photography, sculpture, and graphic design is what I originally wanted to learn when I went to Texas Southern. But that program was more set up for teaching. So I just learned graphic design on my own and also digital art. And after experimenting with each one individually over the years, I began to find ways where I could combine them. So my favorite medium will always be, traditional art, like pen, pencil, because of that immediate visceral feeling of I did this, I created this thing, it's beautiful, versus like another medium that would take like way longer. So, and it's, if you go back far enough, it's the one thing that no matter where we are in the world, it kind of connects everybody. And the next would be digital art, because with digital art, man, the canvas is literally infinite. Like you can do anything that you can imagine and then some, depending on the program that you're using and your knowledge of how to use that program. And it's a lot easier to clean, to edit, to manipulate the image however you want it. The only reason I say that is second is because you don't have that same immediacy of like, okay, now I can hold it in my hand, versus with a traditional drawing or painting, you have that in your hand. So it's that tactileness of it that's lacking. But digital art has so many pros that is the fact that you have to wait to print the thing is not even like a con to me. So thank you for that. Okay, so Jennifer asks, how do you think your work, and by association, the work of Mississippi artists in general, compares to what is going on in the bigger USA art world? And this question is kind of loaded, it's kind of heavy, but it's definitely one that needs to be addressed, because Mississippi has a lot of talented artists, but it seems as though the only work that really gets highlighted is, abstract stuff and landscapes and kind of like country scenes and things like that, when Mississippi has more of a rich culture of like new age, scientific, developmental works. We have a vast, has urban works. Like there's much culture here, and by comparison to the rest of the United States, like there's a battle going on that we don't even fully understand. Because when I lived in Houston, I got a chance to see a lot of the works from around the country and around the world through a lot of the conventions that I went to. Specifically one, an art collector I met, and he actually bought some of my work, gave me a VIP pass to one of the conventions that was at the George R. Brown, I believe, Convention Center. And over the course of, I think, 3 days, I got to see, works from places like Milan, Hong Kong, or even more local like New York, LA, more regional places. And one of the pieces that I saw was a guy named Daniel Duque, and his work, he takes objects that we would normally throw away, like if you bought a computer, like a Mac box for your iMac, and he turns canvases into those kind of objects. So I remember walking around the convention, and I needed to take some notes. So I saw what looked like a stack of wood, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna use that stack of wood, write my notes real quick, and then I'm gonna go about my way. And as I was getting ready to lay my paper down onto this stack of wood, I paused because the thought hit me, wait a minute, this may be a piece of the art. So I go to the person at the desk, the representative, and ask them and say, okay, so is this a piece of art? And she, with so much joy, told me, oh yeah, it is. And I looked at it and nearly like lost it because I was like, this is phenomenal. I feel so bamboozled right now. Because he painted it to look exactly like a stack of wood. And that may not seem phenomenal, but if you look him up and you see the work that he produced, then you will understand. The level of poetry is like far stronger abroad than in Mississippi, only because Mississippi artists aren't given, maybe not given the same opportunities, which is why I believe a lot of people are moving to these other states so they can become better. And you can actually make a good living as an artist in Mississippi. However, if the struggle is too great, anybody's going to give up after a while. So thank you for that question. I hope that answered it. This question comes from Latasha, and she asks, if someone wants to transition from acrylics to oils, what tips would you give? So I mainly use acrylic paint, so I can't really give specifics on how to use oil paint. But this goes back to what Kwame's question was about making the water effect. And it really comes down to researching your materials, understanding how it works, and just going from there, experimenting, figuring out how it works. And I know the few things I do know about oil paint is that it takes, depending on how thick you apply it, it takes longer to dry. You have to use turpentine or mineral spirits to thin out the paint. And you also can go back and it blends very well, like, which is one of the hugest pros of it. But that's really all I know about oil paint. I did find a video about it, which I can send to you so you can check it out. And by the time this comes out, I probably already sent it to you. So I hope that helps. Know your materials, you'll go far. So Tony asks, what's the most ridiculous fact you know? And to answer that, the most ridiculous fact I know is that people give up too early. Because sometimes a breakthrough to reaching a goal is just beyond your eyesight. So you have to keep reaching and keep going. And don't give up. You'll make it. And the final question comes from Jamal, who asks, how do you break art block? And what makes you decide what to draw even if you don't know what to draw? So the dreaded art block, which I'm pretty sure will turn into a video all its own, because this one's gonna have to wind down pretty soon. It's almost 30 minutes long. Woo. And if you made it to this question, thank you so much for watching this video for this long. So the short answer I have for you, because I'll make a longer video to give it the proper respect, is to keep going even when you feel like you have art block, because it's basically a mental thing. So you have to figure ways to get out of your head, or get out of the usual routine you've been in. So doing things like stop drawing for a little while, go outside, take a walk, take a quick break, exercise, read a book, look up some other artists that you like, or find something new that you didn't know that you liked, things like that. And then come back to it later on and see if you can keep going with that same drawing or just scrap it. Don't be afraid to scrap things sometimes, because I have a lot of like drawings that I've archived, and I have a lot of drawings I've just thrown away. Neither of them have seen the light of social media, and nobody else has seen them but me. So, going back to Basil's question, yeah, sometimes you just gotta either push through it or stop for a while. And after a while, it becomes more intuitive, and you'll understand when to do which one. So I hope that answers your question, Jamal. And I will make a video specifically for that to answer your question in more detail. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you everybody for your questions. And I want to hear what you have to say. So hit me up with some more questions so I can make another video on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all at Ransburg Art, RANSBURGART. And I will see y'all next time.